The heater quit working on F150, and the problem is the blend door actuator supposedly broke off. Well, I know it broke off. I took the underneath part here. Can't see it. Just a light over here. It's really dark in here. It goes in that area right there. I can't get the camera underneath there enough to show where the actuator sticks out. I broke it off trying to see if the blend door was moving, and there was little tabs sticking out, and I tried super gluing them just to make it work until the weather gets warm. Then I could replace it, but I tried super gluing it, it didn't work, and where you can see the mirrors through underneath there where I was trying to look underneath there. But anyway, they got a kit. The only way to fix this thing properly, well, I say properly, you take the whole crash pad out, and then you take apart the HVAC box and then put a new door in it. Of course, the door probably you get is not any better than what they put in the vehicle, and eventually it'll break again anyway. Of course, the truck is aged a little bit, and most likely be wore out when it breaks again anyway, but they do have a kit that you can buy on the internet that you can cut in to the heater box and replace the door. And first of all, you got to cut out the back of the glove box in order to get, I don't know if this thing's, no, it's telescopic at the end, no wonder. To get access to HVAC box, and that's what I'm doing right now. And I just wanted to show you guys how this works. Let me get it. Got a Dremel tool here, and it's got a shaft on it, and I can't see where the end of it is, so let me turn this off and get it going. Okay, this is how it works. So that's the general idea. Well, I cut out I have the back of the glove box panel cut out. I'm looking at pictures I took off the internet from the cell phone to make sure I'm doing this right. But one thing I didn't do, there's a little piece that was part of this here. I didn't cut that out, but after looking at the picture again, that had to come out too. So I cut that separate, and you can see this comes out here like this. This you don't have to put back in. It's nothing to do, it's what they say structurally with this. It's just a panel, I guess. They put in the back of the glove box. The glove box gets shut, you never see it. Even when you open it, you don't see it because there's a back panel on the glove box. Now the next thing, what has to be done is a panel of this HVAC case has to be cut out, and according to what I'm looking at the cell phone here, it goes, you have to cut out, let's see here, I took the pictures off the monitor screen, and they're not the best. It looks like to me it goes I'm looking at a different, it looks like a different case than this one here. I probably have to go back and look on the internet and see here, because they have a different bump. It appears that it goes to here, over into here. I know this part is right down to here, and it goes through the top up here, but I'm not clear how far over this way. I guess I better go back and review this on the video to make sure I have that correct. Okay, well, that's what I'm going to do. Wow, one more little piece had to come out. There's a panel right here, you can see. I'm going to cut that out because this heater box, or plenum box, has got to be cut back here, and that blend door has got to come out in this area here. So, in order to get access to that, you got to take this piece out here. Yep, I got the panel out. As you can see, I cut it, and the blend door, this light, was just laying down in the HVAC blocks, just like this. This is something different what I've ever seen on the internet. Of course, it's a Ford, so you have to expect different things. And it appears that the blend door is broken away from the bracket. It isn't the typical, yeah, you can see where it's broken off. It isn't the typical shaft that goes down into the blend door motor. That it was cracked, but and of course I broke it off more trying to make it work. So I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to reach in there with the Dremel tool and cut that, what's left of the blend door, in half, so I don't break off that upper piece where that blend door goes in there, because that breaks off. That's part of the heater box, and that won't be good. The new door comes with a piece at the bottom that kind of pushes up. It's made out of metal instead of plastic into it, and that wouldn't be a big deal if it breaks, but I can't get the thing to move at the bottom, so evidently there must be enough of that piece at the bottom to keep it in place. I'm going to try moving it around a little bit and see if it'll pop out, but if it doesn't, I'm going to just cut that thing, because I don't want to break off that upper bracket, because that's part of the blend door. That thing breaks, and boy, it doesn't look like it's thick, but you never know. I just don't want to put any more excess pressure against it. That wouldn't be good at all. So that's the next stage of the game here. See if I can get that thing. Looks like it's pretty thick, what's left. So I'll see what happens here. Oops, I gotta turn this thing up. Okay, I got her out. Trying to put this light so I can see better here. This is the shaft for the blend door motor, and what happened was it broke off the blend door motor right here, right along here. This thing fits. Take the broken one, I probably got it upside down, but it fits on here like so, and it broke off. It looks like to me it's been broken for a long time, and I cut the shaft in half, or the axle, whatever you want to call it, in half to get it out, because I didn't want to break this part off, or break this part off that's hooked onto the HVAC housing. I would have broke that off. That wouldn't have been good. I don't know how I would have fixed that. So then when I cut it in half, it wouldn't come off at the bottom. So this part here is kind of locked underneath the housing. Of course, probably if you did it the right way and took the housing apart, this would come unlocked. So I don't know if the new piece comes with this on or not. We'll find out when I get it. But I pried it around a little bit and got her out. And those tangs that fits around the blend door motor, you can see, I don't know, they were cracked. I tried super gluing them, think this was all still hooked up. I thought this was the part that wasn't, or was failing, and the motor wasn't turning this. So I saw a little crack, tried super gluing it yesterday, think I could get Bly and keep it working during the cold weather and just not turn the blend door motor, the cold side, to keep this from not working. And well, I did all that, and of course this wasn't even hooked to it. This was broke off, laying down on the heater box. So that's the reason that didn't work. I did that and put it all back together and didn't work, so I had to take it all back apart, and so I had no choice but to do what I had to do now. So that's where I'm at, waiting for the new part. And I'm going to go inside and warm up. Weather turned cold and snowed last night, so I'm not used to it. It was kind of a fast weather change. But I hate to butcher a job like this, but I really don't particularly care about taking this whole crash pad out of this truck. I've done it before, and believe me, it's not a job to be writing home about. And you know, when you take them all out, there's always something that's not quite right. When you put it back together, then you got to live with it. Unless you do this every day, even the trained technicians have issues. So, and this truck being up in years a little bit, I mean, that plastic isn't pliable as like it used to be. And it's just like on the last one I did was that Dodge, and that just completely broke apart. So, and I had to glue everything back together and whatever. So I don't want to even attempt this if I don't have to, and what I'm doing is not making anything structurally unsafe. And whoops, and believe me, it's a lot easier doing what I just did versus taking this whole crash pad out to replace that door. And I'm sure anybody that says that, well, that's all you're doing is a butcher job, well, maybe so, but it's going to work just as well, and nothing's being compromised, and I don't have to take this whole crash pad out. So when I get the part, put it back in, I'll show you how it works, and hopefully it'll work out okay. Well, I got the new piece. This is what it looks like. Here's the whole piece. Of course, I had to cut this in half to get it out, but you can see that that's supposed to be hooked onto that, and that's what broke. In order to get this thing in there, they've engineered this new piece to take this off so you can slip it in there, and you slip this thing up from the bottom, because there's no way you can put them in if that whole piece is intact like that, unless you take it apart like you're supposed to fix them. So that's my next procedure. I'm going to try to slip this thing in there. It's pretty cold out here. It's about 15-18 degrees, so I'm might be working just a little bit, then go back in and warm up. You can see that I'm kind of wimping out here. I brought out a little heater to help out. It's better than nothing. It's kind of like lighting a match out in the middle of a field to see if you can stay warm, but it's at least my hands get cold, I can put them down there. Back when I was younger, I would do a whole lot more than this, and laying out in a field or whatever else to work on stuff. But boy, now it just seems like I can't handle the cold like I used to. Of course, it was warm and it just turned cold all of a sudden, so it takes a while to get used to it. So this is essentially what I'm going to do, is I'm going to put this thing in through that hole there and fit it in there, and put it in like they say, and see if it's going to work. I got to hook up the electric motor and everything, which goes in through here. You had to take all that out to get to that. So we'll see how it goes. Well, the blend door went in there surprisingly well for aftermarket stuff. I'm surprised. It kind of just slipped in there, and I moved it around, it popped right down in there. You can see it's in place. There's one thing that I didn't look at when I removed this piece of extension on the shaft here, which fits on. This is the electric motor that turns that blend motor, or controls it. It's indexed on there You can see this cog right here is bigger, and they have that indexed on there. So this will go up into that blend door either way. You can turn around 180, so then this will be clocked different than this. You have to take it back out, and that thing fits in there kind of snug, so that would really be hard to pull back out because it kind of fits flush after you get up in there. So if you ever do one of these, you have to make sure it's clocked right, and you may end up busting that blend door trying to get it back out. I mean, it's up there underneath there. You see when I put it in there where you can't really get to it. I guess there is a way you can take an offset needle nose or something and pull it back out, but I had a hard time even getting it out when I pulled it out, because they really made it fit real snug when you get it up in there, so it doesn't move around and break. So I'm gonna make sure that I'm gonna fit this motor back up into place where it goes and make sure I have this thing clocked right, because I don't want to go through that. That'll be another issue. You see it goes up there like that. Oops. You see it goes in there like that and fits up in there, so I'm going to have to make sure that's clocked right. And I better turn the key on and make sure it's all in the position it has to be in, because if that's off, that's not going to work right. So right now it shows us in a hot position, so the blend door would be, let's see, yep, I got everything off there. Now that would be, I better get my thinking hat back on. Well, I'm going to turn it off and get it straightened out. What makes it easier to get some of these bolts from underneath, oh shoot, there's a thing on the screen, there it goes. You can't really see it. I have a ratchet I can reach underneath here. If you had a hand ratchet, it's just it's really kind of hard. You can see I'm pushing the air ratchet. There, I got the thing just went off the screen there. I don't know if you can see it. You gotta watch it so you don't get it too tight and crack the plastic. Of course, it's really cold out here, and you really got to be careful with that. But it makes it easier when you have these ratchets to do that. The electric ratchets are a whole lot better. You don't have to have air running to them, but I think they're a lot bigger, and you might not be able to sneak them underneath there. But just a little point of interest there. Okay, I lined this thing up and made sure that this duct or blend door was in the right position. Right now it's in a cold position. As you see, it's blocking off the heater core. And when you turn the thing, it's in temperature control to the hot position, the blend door is opening it up and letting the air flow through the heater core. And so that's how you get your heat. So one way, and I'll turn it back, and it's clocked right, that little shaft extension. I made sure that was right before I pushed it up in there. Just loosely fitted it to make sure the door was in the right adjustment. Turn it back to the cold position, and it closes. The air is forced to go through the AC evaporator in that position right there. So if you want something in between, you turn it in between, and it stops and gives you a blend. You get your temperature in the right position you want. So this vehicle don't have automatic climate control, so the computer don't control the temperature. You have to manually do it with the knob. But it does run off of that electric motor, which I just showed putting it in. So it appears that it's working. Now I just have to put all this mess back together and patch my butcher job there. So as I proceed, I'll take pictures of it and show you how I've done it. Well, there's something else I wanted to show you here. I wouldn't cut this evaporator or I mean it's an HVAC case back any farther than I did, you can see that blend door comes right to the edge where I cut it off. I looked in the internet and I took pictures actually off the computer screen to see exactly where they cut them, and good thing I didn't go another 1/8 of an inch or 1/16 of an inch over, because that would have went right around that blend door and that wouldn't have been good. So I just wanted to point that out. I gotta put this all back together, glue it, tape it, and whatever else. You can see when that Dremel cut this thing, it got hot and it kind of melted the plastic. So between super glue and tape or Gorilla tape or epoxy or something, I'll get it sealed. Just hopefully you don't have to do this again, because then you'd be cutting out glue on tape on top of it. So, well, I got to continue on. Well, I got her finished up. I used Gorilla Glue around the seams there. I took some super glue and put it back in place, and then I took the Gorilla Glue and put it around there. They send tape with this kit. It's really good tape, but I felt the Gorilla Glue might work better here, because it supposedly is strong. And besides, this being a Ford, the Gorilla Glue probably make it the strongest point of this truck. But on this side over here, I put some tape there, because that's right where that blend door, if you remember where I had it, when I had it apart there, you can see right where the blend door, the edge of it came right up to where that was cut. And I was afraid if I put glue over there, somehow or another might hit that blend door, it might not be dry, then it's sticking in place, then we got another issue. So I put some tape over there and put a little glue on the edges of the tape. But that tape's real good tape. I was really surprised. It kind of bends and forms and goes in place, because it probably would have worked if I would have just put it over where the glue is. It worked just as well. So what's left, I cleaned it up a little bit to get all the debris. There's still a little bit down in there, but just a little dust. And put the glove box back in place and put the stuff back in the glove box, so it looked like it never happened. I did start it up, and it started to get warm. So if it gets warm in the winter and gets cool in the summer, then we've accomplished our mission here. So I'm going to put the stuff back in the glove box and close her up and recheck it after the glue dries and make sure it's good and sealed, and we'll go on to the next step of whatever needs to be done around this place. Here's the finish stage. Got her cleaned up. Looks like it's back to normal, except for the butcher job I did behind the glove box, which you'll never see unless you take the glove box out. But whoever thought about doing this blend door, the shortcut here, it's got to be a genius. I don't know what engineer thought this up, but hopefully they were paid very good for what they did here. To do this project the right way, I guess you would call it, you have to take the tire crash pad out and split open HVAC assembly and replace that blend door. And that would, on this vehicle, I know it would be 7 or 10 hours to do it. And of course, once you do that, unless you're an expert and do them every day, there's always something that you don't put back right, or something that rattles and squeaks, or a piece of panel that breaks, the plastic, and then you got to replace that. It's additional cost, and it's not an easy project. I've done them, so I'm grateful whoever did this, and then this blend door that I got it through the internet. I can't know if I got it through Amazon or eBay, but they even gave me a discount. I think I got $17 or $18 in it. So, plus the glue. And so it's not a final, I haven't checked it, did the final check on it, but it was blowing pretty warm before I shut it off and sealed the HVAC assembly. So I think it's a fix.